I died, choking on my own blood. The metallic tang flooding my mouth as my brother's hands, those same hands that once high-fived me after Little League wins, pressed the pillow over my face. The last thing I saw was his eyes, cold and calculating, whispering, "It's for the family, Kinsley. You'll understand in hell." But hell spat me back out. 18 years old again. Heart pounding in a body that hadn't yet been carved up by betrayal. Staring at the calendar on my dorm wall, September 15th, 2007, 8 months before the night that ended me. Waking up in my freshman year bed at NYU, the sheets tangled around my legs like the noose of fate I'd just escaped, hit me harder than the overdose they pinned on me in my first life. I bolted upright, gasping, my roommate's boy band posters blurring through tears I didn't know I could still cry. The mirror across the room showed a girl with wide eyes and freckles across her nose, me. Before the trust fund wars turned my family into vultures. Grandpa's empire, the Hawthorne steel fortune built on Pittsburgh mills and Wall Street gambles, was supposed to be my birthright. But in that other timeline, it became my grave. I didn't scream. Didn't call 911 for a hallucination check. Instead, I laughed a raw, ugly bark that echoed off the cinderblock walls. Reborn. Second chance. The universe, that cruel bastard, had handed me a loaded gun. And this time, I wouldn't miss. The first call I made wasn't to Mom or Dad. It was to the family lawyer, old Mr. Hargrove, whose voice crackled like dry leaves on the line. "Kinsley, it's 3 a.m.
Dear.
Everything all right?" I fed him a line about a nightmare. But really, I was fishing. In my old life, he'd been the one to discover my body, slumped in the clawfoot tub of our Upper East Side brownstone, empty pill bottles scattered like confetti at a funeral. Suicide, the coroner ruled. Convenient for everyone except me. "Listen," I said, forcing my voice steady. "Grandpa's trust fund, did he ever mention changes? Like contingencies?" Hargrove chuckled, that avuncular rumble I'd trusted once. "Your grandfather's as solid as his steel beams.
Girl.
You're the golden child. Now, get some sleep, golden child." Yeah.
Right.
By the time I graduated law school, in that poison timeline, the vultures had circled. My brother, Ethan, charming Ethan with his Ivy League grin and hedge fund swagger, had married Claire, the ice queen socialite who whispered poisons in his ear. Together, they siphoned off chunks of the Hawthorne legacy through shell companies and charitable trusts that funneled cash to their Cayman accounts. Dad turned a blind eye, drowning in scotch and golf scores. Mom? She played the grieving widow when the pills proved I'd cracked under pressure. But the real knife?
Grandpa.
The man who'd built it all, who doted on me with stories of bootstraps and American dreams, had known. A secret clause in the will: if I proved unstable, the bulk shifted to Ethan. He'd buried that amendment deep, convinced by Ethan's lies that I was spiraling, partying too hard. Bad influences. Lies Ethan fed him after forging my emails, planting coke in my purse during a family Easter brunch. I'd taken the fall for it all, too loyal to fight back until it was too late.
Now,
here I was, 18 and unbreakable. I dropped the phone and paced the room, the city humming outside like a beast waiting to be fed. Revenge wasn't a word, it was oxygen. But I had to play it smart. No wild accusations. No midnight confessions. This time, I dismantled them brick by steel brick. make them choke on their own greed. Classes blurred into a haze that week. Intro to contracts? Bullshit compared to the contract my family had signed in blood, my blood. I skipped lectures, holing up in the library's microfilm archives, digging for Hawthorne history. Grandpa's emails weren't public yet, but old society pages painted the picture. The Hawthorne patriarch, a self-made titan who'd clawed from coal mines to boardrooms, always preaching family first. Hypocrite. By Friday, I was on a Greyhound to Pittsburgh, the Rust Belt skyline greeting me like an old scar. Grandpa's estate loomed on the hill, all Gothic revival stone and manicured lawns that screamed old money. He answered the door himself, pipe in hand, his face lighting up like I'd hung the moon. Kinsley, what in tarnation brings my favorite troublemaker home unannounced? I hugged him tight, inhaling the scent of cherry tobacco and resolve. Missed you, Gramps.
And
I had a dream. A bad one. About the family. About losing everything. His eyes narrowed. That steel glint I remembered from boardroom battles. We sat in his study, fire crackling, as I spun a half-truth, visions of betrayal, whispers of hidden clauses. He laughed it off at first, but I pressed, showing him printouts from the library, articles on trust fund disputes. Siblings turning feral. You're too young for this worry, kiddo, he said, but his hand trembled on the brandy snifter. That night, over pot roast in the solarium, the family gathered.
Dad.
Paunchy and jovial, cracking dad jokes.
Mom.
Elegant in pearls, fussing over the gravy. Ethan, home from Yale on break. All golden boy charm with Claire on his arm, her already eyeing the silver like it was costume jewelry. The air was thick with that Hawthorne normalcy, the kind that hid knives in napkins. Grandpa cleared his throat, the table falling silent. Kinsley here's been thinking deep. Trusts and futures. He glanced at me, a nod of permission. My heart hammered. This was it, the first chess move. Did you get the email about your trust fund? Grandpa asked, his voice booming like a gavel. The words hung there, casual as passing the peas. But they sliced the room open. Ethan's fork paused midair. Claire's smile froze porcelain crack then. Mom's eyes darted to Dad, who suddenly found his mashed potatoes fascinating. I met Grandpa's gaze, then let my voice drop, slow and deliberate, like venom pooling. Yeah, I did. And it's bullshit. The table iced over. Forks clattered. Ethan's laugh was forced, a bark too loud.
Whoa. Sis.
Language. What's got your panties in a twist? But I didn't flinch. In my old life, I'd have backpedaled, apologized with a giggle. Not now. The contingencies.
Ethan.
The ones that say if I so much as sneeze wrong, you swoop in like the family savior. I know about the amendment. The one Gramps buried because you convinced him I was a liability. Grandpa's pipe clattered to the saucer. What the devil? Claire recovered first, her laugh tinkling like breaking glass. Kinsley, honey, you're overtired. Dreams and all that. But I'd planted the seed. Grandpa's face darkened. Thunderclouds over the Monongahela.
Ethan. Boy.
You got something to say? Denials flew. Ethan's indignant bluster. Claire's soothing coos. Mom's pleas for harmony. Dad just shoveled peas. The coward. I watched it all, the fracture lines spiderwebbing, and felt the first sweet rush of power. This was just the appetizer. The real feast? Watching them starve. Back in my old room that night, posters of boy bands mocking my rebirth. I plotted. Step 1. Isolate Grandpa from the poison. I'd enroll in his alma mater's summer program. Shadow him at the mills. Step 2. Audit the accounts. Hargrove owed me truths now. Step 3. Claire. That viper in silk. In my first life, she'd been the architect, forging docs, seducing allies. I'd start with her, unravel the threads until Ethan dangled alone. Sleep came fitful, dreams of pillows and pills morphing into steel beams crushing bone. But morning brought clarity. I was Kinsley Hawthorne,
Reborn.
and Hawthorne's steel didn't bend. It broke what tried to forge it wrong. The next months were a grind, a slow burn of infiltration. NYU faded to a part-time gig. I transferred credits to Pitt, living in Grandpa's guest house, commuting to his office in a steel-gray Mercedes that purred like a predator. He took me under his wing. Gruff lessons in ledgers and leverage. Family's the forge. Kins, he'd say, oblivious to the irony. But trust the hammer, not the sparks. Ethan seethed from afar, his emails laced with brotherly jabs. Chill, sis. Don't go all Lifetime movie on us. Claire's calls dripped concern. We worry about you. Darling. That dream sounds intense. I played along, the dutiful granddaughter, all while hacking Hargrove's assistant's email, juvenile stuff. But effective. There it was, the amendment, dated 2 years back. Ethan's signature a flourish of forgery. My first real strike came at Thanksgiving. The brownstone in Manhattan, all crystal chandeliers and forced cheer. I'd flown in early, cornered Mom in the kitchen while she basted the turkey. You knew, didn't you, about the clause? Her hands shook, apron stained with giblets. Kinsley, it was for protection. Ethan said. Ethan lies like he breathes. I held her gaze. The woman who'd sung me lullabies now crumbling like dry dough.
Choose.
Mom. Me or the money. She chose silence, but the seed took root. That night, as pie was served, I dropped the bomb, a printed email chain, Ethan's to Hargrove, outlining contingencies for my instability. Grandpa's face went volcanic. Boy, he growled at Ethan. You got 5 minutes to explain before I rewrite this whole damn on a napkin. Ethan blanched, Claire's claws digging into his thigh under the table. Denials tumbled, but the damage stuck. Whispers followed, family rift, Hawthorne drama fodder for the society pages. I savored it, the first crack in their facade. Winter thawed into a brutal spring. I buried myself in law texts, interning at a boutique firm specializing in estate disputes. Knowledge was my armor. And then, the gift, Grandpa's heart scare. A mild infarction, Doc said, but it rattled him. In the hospital, monitors beeping like accusatory fingers. He gripped my hand. Kins, you're the spine of this. Don't let him cut you out. I won't, I promised, meaning every sharpened word. Recovery meant changes. He fired Hargrove. My intel had painted him complicit and installed me as interim trustee liaison. Ethan howled from New York. This is insane. Gramps. She's a kid. But the old man was steel now. Unyielding. Claire struck first. A lunch at La Bernardine. all white tablecloths and her designer sheath. Darling, she purred, sipping Chardonnay. This paranoia, it's unbecoming. Ethan's devastated. I smiled.
Spearing my scallop.
Devastated? Like when he devastated my credit with those loans he never repaid. Her eyes flickered. Guilt?
No.
Calculation. Water under the bridge. But if you push, we push back. Grandpa's fragile. Threat noted. I countered with a dossier. Emailed anonymously to her board seat at the Met Gala committee. Discrepancies in Hawthorne charitable donations. Funneled to her vanity projects. Resignation followed within days. Small victories. But they stacked like cordwood. By summer, the tension was a live wire. Family barbecue at the estate. Smoke curling from the grill like signals. Ethan cornered me by the pool. Bourbon breath hot. You think you're slick. Kins, digging up dirt? Back off. Or I'll bury you deeper than last time. Last time. The words hung. A slip of the tongue or a taunt from the grave. My blood iced. He knew. No bluff.
But it fueled me.
That night, I broke into his guest room safe. Combo his birthday. The fool, finding ledgers. Offshore accounts. Laundered through Claire's art deals. Jackpot. The confrontation brewed. Grandpa called a summit. The study thick with cigar haze. We're airing it out. No more shadows. Ethan arrived with lawyers in tow. Claire a ghost at his side. I laid it bare. The forgeries. The siphons. The claws. Evidence projected on the wall like a prosecutor's slideshow. Grandpa's face was granite. You've been playing me.
Boy.
All of us. Ethan sneered. Cornered rat. It's business. Gramps. Kinsley's the weak link, always has been. Weak? I stepped forward. Voice ablade. Weak enough to die for your lies? Not anymore. The room spun. Grandpa's gasp. Another spell?
No.
Revelation. He slumped. Eyes on me. What do you mean?
Deep.
And that's when the dam cracked. In the heat. The fury. I spilled it, not the rebirth. But the nightmare vision. The pillow. The pills. Hyperbole. They thought. But it landed like truth. Ethan paled. Claire bolted for the door. You monster, Grandpa wheezed, clutching his chest. Get out. Both of you. They left in a squeal of tires.
Disowned on the spot.
Victory?
Pyrrhic.
Grandpa's health tanked. The will rewritten in my favor overnight. But as I nursed him through the fall, doubts crept. Was this justice, or just trading one poison for another? Ethan's text turned pleading. Sis.
Talk.
We can fix this.
Fix.
As if. The fallout from the summit rippled like a Pittsburgh flood, washing away the Hawthorne polish and leaving mudslick truths exposed. Grandpa rallied, stubborn as the mills he'd saved from bankruptcy in '82. But the doctors hovered like crows' stress-induced angina. They called it. I became his shadow, canceling board meetings, brewing his herbal teas laced with the bitterness of what-ifs. Ethan and Claire vanished into Manhattan's maw, their social feeds a curated lie of brunches and benefits. But I knew better. Vipers don't slither away, they coil. My days blurred into a regimen of vigilance, morning runs along the Allegheny, pounding pavement to outpace the ghosts, afternoons in the estate's vault-like library, poring over ledgers that whispered of embezzlement. The offshore accounts? I'd frozen two with a tip to the IRS, anonymous. Of course, watching from afar as Ethan's hedge fund teetered. Claire's art world crumbled next. A whistleblower, me, through a burner email, exposed her fakes as frauds. The Met blacklisting her faster than a bad review. Revenge tasted like black coffee, sharp, necessary, but leaving you jittery. Nights. I'd wake sweating. The pillow phantom pressing down. Ethan's whisper echoing. For the family.
Was it?
In my old life. I believed it. Swallowing the narrative that Hawthorne blood ran thicker than greed.
Now.
I saw the rot. Dad's enabling silence. Mom's teary apologies over phone lines that crackled with distance. She'd chosen the brownstone over me. Staying in New York to keep the peace. Peace for whom? A package arrived mid-November. No return address. Inside, a manila envelope stuffed with photos, me. Blurry in Central Park. Laughing with a college fling, me. Exiting a bar at 2 a.m., me. Arguing with a professor. Surveillance shots. Time-stamped from months ago. Tucked in a note in Ethan's scrawl. Remember who you're messing with. Sis. Accidents happen. My hands shook, but not from fear, from fury. He thought he could scare me back into the grave. I burned the photos in the fireplace. Ashes scattering like confetti at my rebirth party. Then I called in favors. My firm internship had netted contacts, a PI named Rocco, ex-cop with a nose for dirt, and a fee I could cover with Grandpa's petty cash. Rocco's report landed a week later. Over greasy diner eggs in the Strip District. Your brother's in deep.
Kid.
Debts up to his eyeballs, bad trades. Claire's habits. They're desperate. Word is, they're shopping the family silver to shyster collectors. Desperate. The word hummed like a live wire. I paid Rocco double. Set him on Claire's tail. Meanwhile, Grandpa's recovery plateaued. He took to the den, sketching old revisions with a Mont Blanc that cost more than my tuition. Kins, he rasped one evening, firelight gilding his wrinkles. I failed you all. Believed the wrong stories. I knelt by his armchair, the rug soft under my knees. You didn't fail. They did. And I'm fixing it. His eyes, faded blue like faded steel, searched mine. At what cost? Vengeance ain't steel.
Girl.
It rusts the soul. Soul rust. Poetic. But I shoved it down. Cost? My life.
Once. Now.
It was theirs to pay. Thanksgiving loomed. A minefield I couldn't dodge. Mom insisted neutral ground. The brownstone. For healing, she pleaded. Healing. As if apologies mended murder. But Grandpa nodded from his sickbed.
Go.
Show him Hawthorne's spine. The drive up I-76 was a gauntlet of ghosts. Billboards for casinos mocking the house always wins. Snow flurried. The city a glitter of defiance. I arrived early. Key turning in the lock like a confession. The place hadn't changed. Persian rugs muffling footsteps. Walls lined with ancestors in oil who judged from gilt frames. Mom greeted me with a hug too tight, her perfume cloying as regret. Kinsley, thank God. It's been hell.
Hell.
I pulled back, scanning her thinner, eyes shadowed. Where's Dad?
Out.
Running errands. Code for avoiding. Ethan and Claire swept in at dusk, arms laden with wine and lies. He looked haggard, jaw shadowed, her Botox-smooth facade cracking at the edges. Hugs were exchanged like loaded dice, mine to Ethan lingering. nails digging just enough. Missed you.
Bro.
His smile didn't reach his eyes.
Yeah.
Family. Right? Dinner was a farce. Turkey carved with surgical precision. Cranberry sauce tart as accusations. Small talk skated the ice, Grandpa's health. The Steelers' playoff chances, until it cracked.
Dad.
Emboldened by Merlot. Broached it. Kins. About the will. Ethan's got a point. You're young. Volatile. Volatile. The word ignited me. I set down my fork. The clink of gunshot. Volatile? Like faking emails to make me look like a junkie? Or siphoning funds to bail out your golf buddies? Dad sputtered. Mom gasped. Ethan leaned in, voice low. Careful, sis. Water under the bridge. Bridge you burned. I slid the envelope across. Rocco's prelims. Redacted, but damning. Offshore wires. Claire's byline on the fakes. Claire's wine glass shattered in her grip. Red staining white linen like a Rorschach of guilt. This is libel. Prove it in court. My voice was calm. The eye of the storm. Or confess. Save us all the headlines. The table erupted, shouts. Tears. Dad pounding the oak like a gavel. Mom fled to the kitchen. Sobs echoing. Ethan lunged. But I was faster. Chair scraping back. Touch me. And it's assault on top of fraud. He froze. Hatred raw. You think you win? Gramps croaks. And it's all yours? We'll see.
We.
The partnership. Unbreakable in my death. But not now. The holiday dissolved into exile. They stormed out. Tires screeching into the night. Mom stayed. Curled on the couch. Whispering apologies till dawn. I didn't know.
Kins.
I swear. You did, I said softly, stroking her hair. But you can know better now. Back in Pittsburgh. The new year dawned bloody. Rocco's full dossier hit like a freight train. Ethan's ties to a loan shark. Claire's pill-popping veiled as migraines. Blackmail fodder. But dirtier. I debated using it, ruin them legally. Or personally. The line blurred. Vengeance's rust creeping. Grandpa's rally came in February. A boardroom coup where he ousted Ethan's cronies. Installing me as junior exec. The mills hummed under my touch, efficiency tweaks born of law school hindsight. Success bred whispers. Kinsley's the heir apparent. Ethan retaliated with leaks to the Post-Gazette, anonymous tips painting me as the power-hungry upstart. Hawthorne drama. Sibling showdown over Steel Empire. Public now. The feud. Talk shows buzzed. Tabloids tittered. I leaned in, granting interviews with steel in my spine. Families complicated. But truth? That's steel. Behind scenes, I struck deeper. Hired a hacker, ethical gray, but necessary, to trace the shark's threats. Ethan owed $2 million. Collateral the family yacht. I paid it off anonymously, then tipped the feds on the usury racket. Sharks scattered. Ethan left dangling. Claire cracked first. A frantic call at 3 a.m. Kinsley. Please. He's spiraling. We need help. Help. The word for my grave. What kind? The kind where you admit the pillow? The pills. Silence. Then a sob. It was an accident. He panicked. I covered for us.
Us.
Always us. I hung up, pulse thundering. Confession? Leverage. The summit I called was neutral. a midtown steakhouse. Dim and discreet. Ethan arrived alone, gaunt in a rumpled Brooks Brothers. What do you want? Kins? The money? It's gone. Justice. I slid the recording, Claire's call. Transcribed. Testify. Against her. And yourself. His laugh was hollow. Blackmail? That's low. Even for you. Low? You killed me.
Ethan.
In a dream. Sure. But the intent, it's the same. Eyes widened. Recognition? What the hell are you? Save it. Walk. Or I drop this to the DA. Fraud. Conspiracy. Manslaughter if I push the vision angle. Bluff. Mostly. But he bought it. Crumbling like cheap rebar. I didn't mean panic.
Debts.
Claire said stage it. Make it look self-done. Gramps' claws. The claws. The cancer. We talked hours. Bourbon flowing like confessions. He spilled. The forgeries started small. Claire's idea to protect the legacy from my wild streak escalated to the planted evidence. The final night me, drugged unknowingly at a reconciliation dinner. Pillow as mercy kill in his twisted mind. I recorded it all. Hidden in my purse. Not for court yet.
For me.
Catharsis in pixels. But as he begged, help me.
Sis.
Like old times, pity flickered.
Rischt.
Old times died with me. Fix yourself. Or sink. He left broken. A ghost of the brother who'd built forts in the mills. I drove back through blackout rain, tears mixing with wipers. Vengeance, sweet, but solitary. Spring bloomed treacherous. Grandpa's health stabilized. The will ironclad, me as steward. Charities for the mill's workers. Ethan entered rehab. Claire vanished to Europe on a sabbatical. Mom moved to Pittsburgh. Tentative bridges over chasms. Yet shadows lingered. A tail on my runs, Rocco confirmed. Ethan's PI. Payback. I upped security, but the paranoia gnawed. Was this winning? Or just surviving? The call came in May. Grandpa's voice frail. Kins. Come home. Now. I raced the miles. Heart in throat. The estate loomed. Lights blazing. Inside, chaos. Paramedics. Mom wailing.
Grandpa.
Gone. Heart gave out in his sleep.
Peaceful, they said.
Funeral was a circus. Press gawkers. Distant cousins sniffing inheritance. I stood graveside. Wind whipping my veil. Ethan's eulogy a masterclass in crocodile tears. He taught us strength. Family first. Bullshit. But as dirt hit coffin, twist uncoiled. The lawyer. New one. Hargrove's replacement, whispered. Miss Hawthorne? A letter.
From your grandfather.
For you alone. The lawyer's office smelled of lemon polish and finality. Mahogany desk a barricade between me and the envelope sealed with Grandpa's wax crest, a steel beam crossed with laurels. My hands, steady from months of steeling myself, trembled as I broke it open. Inside his scrawl, looping like rivers on a map. Dearest Kinsley, if you're reading this, I've shuffled off to whatever forge awaits old men. Don't grieve long. I've had a good run. But know this, the claws? My doing. Not Ethan's. He came to me, frantic, with tales of your troubles. I believed him because I wanted to, saw my own failures in you. The wild girl chasing dreams over duty. Foolish. But you? My spine. You've proven the Hawthorne heart beats true. Twist of the tale. The real trust isn't steel or stocks. It's hidden, deed to the old mill site. Now prime for redevelopment. Worth billions if you green it right. Yours alone. No strings.
But use it wise.
Build.
Don't burn.
Forgive if you can. I couldn't.
Love. Gramps. Tears blurred the ink.
The clause his. Protectionism masked as prudence. Enabling the monsters. And forgiveness?
A tall order for the reborn.
Ethan cornered me post-funeral. Rain-slick cemetery paths mirroring our mess. Kins. Truce? For him.
His eyes.
Red-rimmed. Echoed the boy who'd shared secrets under mill shadows. Pity warred with payback. Truce means truth.
Full.
To the cops. He nodded. Slow. Claire's gone. I turn myself in fraud.
The.
Accident. Rehab first, then justice.
Justice.
The word echoed hollow. I extended a hand, not sister to brother, but survivor to survivor.
Deal.
But if you run, I won't. Grip firm. A spark of old steel. The months post-burial were reconstruction. I greenlit the mill project, solar arrays on rusting frames. Jobs for the forgotten. Headlines hailing Hawthorne Air's eco-revolution. Billions poured in, but I funneled half to worker trusts, honoring Gramps' ghost. Mom thawed, helping with blueprints. Her apologies, actions now. Ethan's plea deal hit in July, 5 years probation. Restitution. Community service at the mills. Claire extradited from Monaco. Her empire of fakes crumbling to plea bargains. No pillow charges. Insufficient evidence. DA said, but the civil suits buried them in debt deeper than Ethan's sharks. Manhattan beckoned. The brownstone mine now. Ghosts exorcised with sage and contractors. I renovated, turning the clawfoot tub room into a library. Books on forgiveness stacked high. Unread. One night. Autumn crisp. Ethan showed, paroled early for good behavior. Gaunt, but grounded.
Can I see it?
The new Hawthorne. We walked the brownstone, his eyes tracing changes. Kitchen island where secrets brewed. Now open and airy. You built, he said. Voice rough. Not burned. Not yet. Honesty. The last blade. He nodded. Tears unashamed. I'm sorry. Kins. For the pillow. For everything. The words landed. Not absolution, but release. In my old life, they'd come too late, muffled by cotton and malice.
Now?
Air in lungs I'd reclaimed. Forgive, he asked, echoing Gramps. I paused. City lights winking conspiracy. Maybe. In time. He left at dawn, a cab swallowing him into the grid. I stood on the stoop, coffee steaming, the skyline a promise. Reborn not just to avenge, but to redefine. Hawthorne steel, forged in fire, tempered in mercy. Twist's end, the universe. That bastard. Looped back. A month later. Package on my desk, Manila. No address. Inside, baby booties. Monogrammed EH. Ethan's? Claire's ghost? No note. But a card. Family first. Always.
Chills.
Another coil? Or olive branch? I burned it. Ashes to wind. But sleep came uneasy. Dreams of pillows turning to cradles. Vengeance complete. But legacies linger. I'm Kinsley Hawthorne. Steel-spined.
Second-chanced.
And in America's grind. That's victory enough. Rust be damned. Epilogue hook. The email pinged at midnight. Hargrove. Retired but nosy. Kinsley. Anomaly in the old files. Your suicide autopsy? Inconsistencies. Want me to dig? I deleted it. Heart steady. Some graves stay shut. Others? We build over them.